Welcome to our executive interview series at the Zero Trust Summit, presented by CyberScoop. I'm Matt Bracken, and we're here with David Thurmond, Corporate R&D Portfolio Director at Leidos. David, thanks for joining us. I'd like to start by asking, what are the biggest operational challenges most government agencies still face in establishing a zero trust environment?
First of all, thank you, Matt, for having me today. I really appreciate it. And I really like to think of these challenges not just about what we're facing today, but as overseeing R&D really to what the challenges that we're going to be facing in the near future. And one of those big things I see are really two areas. One being the cultural change that we have to shift away from. I think there's been great strides in buying into this zero trust architecture and the zero trust paradigm, but there's still those institutionalized challenges we have. Thinking about things from a compliance perspective, how do we make sure that we achieve the perfect compliance score rather than how do we make sure we're complete in how we're approaching zero trust. I think the other challenge is really in the disparate technologies and types of architectures we have, as well as the inheritance of different capabilities. You think of an organization that has their overarching CIO office, but there's enclaves that exist throughout the agencies that need to either inherit those capabilities, assess risk profiles, understand the personas of people within them. And I think from an ICAM perspective, that is one of the big areas that organizations are really trying to get their head wrapped around just at the enterprise level, right? So how does that translate down to these lower level enclaves, or especially when you start dealing with environments that may be overseas, they're representing the US abroad, how do they inherit some of those capabilities or have them inherently within their architectures? I think it's a really difficult challenge, one that we've been working to tackle in a way that it allows the organizations to leverage technologies they have, but also being able to bring these new capabilities in, advancing that zero trust maturity and being more than just compliant, being complete.
Interesting. Now, switching gears slightly, where are you seeing signs that AI will help accelerate agency efforts to establish zero trust practices?
So, building on what I was just talking about, I think AI is fundamental in that change, right? Understanding risk postures and how things are shifting from kind of that traditional, creating the authentication of the perimeter, and then once you get in, how do we do that continuous automation? But the real challenge is how do you do that rapidly? How do you do it across these disparate environments? And also, how do we pass some of this risk information we have from one enclave to another? AI really helps us with a lot of that because these behavior anomaly detection tools that are out there currently, a lot of them are costly and they're looking at very specific environments. But how do we have them collaborate together? And that's another challenge that we've been really looking to tackle because ultimately, at the end of the day, leveraging AI allows us to do things much more quickly. And when you think about what we're trying to do at the end of the day, right, it's how do we protect the data itself? And so if we can leverage AI to not only work through that continuous authentication, but also identify what's the most vulnerable data, what is the data that's most important. And so things like generative AI, how we're bringing LLM to tackle a lot of those challenges, as well as understand the content that exists within that. It's a really exciting time to really bring that to bear. And I'm really excited about how it's going to transform how we're addressing security from the perimeter all the way to the core.
That's great. Thanks so much for your insights, David.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Matt.